we'll get started and she'll jump in. All right, so celebrations.
You can go first, Liz. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I posted it in the Facebook group yesterday. It's just one of those things where it's like I caught myself about to answer a question, and then I thought, no, why don't I actually create like a few standard questions for her to ask before I jump in and just give her the answer. But I think you guys all saw that, and the feedback from Lisa was great. It was perhaps she should try to come up with the standards, which I think that's going to be my biggest challenge, is like kind of allowing that to happen.
Well, and it's a process. Welcome, Dr. Mott.
Oh, goodness gracious.
We were all having problems. There must be something on there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I can see you guys, but you can't see me. Can't figure out to get the video on the phone.
Let me see.
Mornings.
It's okay. We're happy you're here.
But yeah, because I'm calling from my cell phone, and I can see you guys in my computer, but I can't see you on the phone. I don't know. The first time we did it like that.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't think it's you. I think it's Zoom today.
Yeah.
Because we all were having that same challenge. So, and Liz, congratulations on noticing right away that there was that opportunity not to answer her question.
Yes.
And create the process.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome. And, and I so didn't, like, I thought, should I wait a day before I put, is there any chance she could have came up with those on her own? Like, I wanted you to be, like, enjoy the celebration before I was like, oh yeah, she probably could do it. So, and I didn't, but I at least put it in a separate comment.
Isn't it nice to see, Liz, though, how the other people, the employees, are responding positively too? I mean, they don't feel burdened by us doing that. They're actually happy that we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Woohoo! Awesome.
Yeah. It's like, you no longer have to wait for me.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Right. You can move forward. Awesome. All right. What other celebrations do we have?
I have the same just general thing that I've caught myself so many times starting to do something and realizing it's something I could easily delegate. And then thinking, well, I'm going to tell someone what to do. And then I go, no, I'm going to tell them what needs to be done. And then they can do it the way they want to do it.
Good.
Yep.
Awesome. 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 And Dr. Mott, celebration?
Yes. I'm here. I think a big thing we discovered this week. So last week I had, I think, 3 new patients now show. And what happens, so I have 2 ways that people can sign up to see me. One is online. So when they sign up online, it's like I got them, right? Because I got their card. So they're committed. So usually I don't have any problems with patients that sign up online. They usually show up because, they're already committed. I can charge them anytime, it starts. But then with my Hispanic community, a lot of them don't have the technology, or they don't have the language, or they don't have, they just can't do it online for many, a lot of them can't do it. So I usually would give them an appointment, and then they come in, and then I sign them up at the same time I do the first appointment. Well, they don't have any skin in the game, right? So they just no-show, and then they call later. It's, oh, I had whatever, I've heard every excuse in the book. Can you give me another appointment? So you just wasted, an hour and a half of my time that I'm just sitting there, that I could be seeing somebody else, that I wouldn't be running with my, with my head cut off, trying to catch up on other things when I'm so booked. So I haven't had to do anything with that in the past, but now it's like, I'm getting a ton of new patients, and I'm just tired of people not showing up. So now what I did, and I decided this on Friday when I was just sitting and waiting for somebody, and they didn't show up and they didn't call on something. And that now that I have an assistant, what I'm going to have her do is when people call for information, they talk to me, and then I either direct them to the page, and then they can sign up. If they say, I don't have computer, I can't, whatever excuse, then they have to come in and sign up with my assistant, So she gets all their personal information and everything and give a $50 payment, which is the enrollment fee. I charge them $50 anyway for enrollment. So instead of paying me $100 and having an appointment and the whole thing, you pay $50, then I can give you an appointment. So we tried it this week with this guy that called, and I explained it to him. I said, we have a very high no-show rate, so we had to institute this just because it's the way things are. And he was like, yeah, we tend to do that, don't we? I'm like, yep. So he understood. It felt a little weird to have to, force it, but it actually worked really nice. He came the next day. He put all his information. I gave him an appointment. He gave the $50. Happy campers.
Yeah.
So
Very
it was
good.
huge because in like 3 days, I was able to turn around a situation that was upsetting me, that was wasting my time, and I could use the assistant. So it's not like something I have to do. So I can be seeing patients, and she can do it. And pretty soon I'm going to show her. I'm trying to not inundate her too much because she's taking on a lot of stuff. So trying to first, I'm helping her how to get people on the computer and things like that. But eventually I want her to be able to do that. I want her to just be able to put them in and maybe assign some blocks where she can plop those patients in. And then I don't even have to be involved in the beginning until I see them. I always want to talk to the patients first because I want to make sure that they're a good fit and that I'm going to be able to, you kind of do that first feel. But after that, I don't really have to be involved until I see them.
Awesome.
So I think, yeah, that was huge.
Good
like,
job.
It was
Good
so
job.
obvious in my face, but it was like one of those moments that you get the light shining and says, this is so obvious. Why are you not doing something for these no-shows? Because people that are enroll online, even if they don't come, I charge them. Once you enroll, it's an automatic charge. If you don't come, sorry, it's your money. It's not, and it's part of the contract and everything. And so I try to make it so that coming in doesn't have to be part of the condition of payment, because I did have issues in the past with like a guy that signed up and then, it took me like 6 months to pin him down to come in. In the meantime, I wasn't getting paid for all this.
Yeah.
So now it's like,
good. Way to identify. Excellent work. Way to identify and then move it to a solution that doesn't require 100% of your attention and energy. That's what's awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So our next part, what are you working on? Here's our accountability check. Who would like to go first?
I can go. So I started doing the trash transfer trim diagram.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I ended up doing, I did the QBR in the middle, which I identified as really communicating out to clients. And then I had design was one of my other big categories in terms of a time suck. And the thing I had to do is I had to break design up into 3 different categories. I don't know if you can see this. But there's art direction.
Beautiful.
There's it's scribbly. There's art direction, there's design, and then there's production. So the 3 of them are connected, but they're very different things. So this is what I'm going to work on. Like, as you can see, I'm decided to hold on to art direction because that's a big part of what I think I bring to the table that is unique. And then I've also held on to project management for, the bigger types of projects, not jobs, but projects. So those two things, I have the big thick line. So I'm going to hold on to those. But a lot of the other stuff can either be, you are a god. Okay. My son just brought me coffee. Oh, thank you.
Yes, we can see.
I have to take notes on how you trained him to do that because mine don't do that.
I asked.
Yeah, good.
I heard him grinding the beans. I ran into the kitchen. I'm like, hey. So then like the stuff, like the financial stuff, managing the jobs is different from managing projects. And that I put as something that I think, I don't know. I have to figure that one out. Marketing for Rad Graphics, I'm going to trim and delegate a little bit. But yeah, it's I started it and it's kind of cool. I'll make it look a little prettier. But that's where I'm at right now. And then this is the one that I think is going to be hard. It's the answering questions. I crossed it out because I want to get rid of it. So this is where I guess like all the processes will come into play, correct?
I think so. And I think also in that answering questions piece, I think that's an opportunity to create a frequently asked questions list, and not you create, the person who's asked you to create. And depending on where the questions are coming from, it may not be applicable in all areas.
Yeah.
And I think that's also a great opportunity for when the question comes in for you to play or to remember can they create a process to answer that question.
So when a question comes in, remember the app. Try 3 before me. Is that like
3 before me?
3 before me.
Bring me a solution before you bring, when you bring the question. Like in the case with Jenny, where you did you're like, here are 3 things that you need to know in order to know whether or not you can pay the bill. Flip it back to her on what do you think you would need to know to pay the bill?
Got it. Yep.
So, because your impulse, and all of our impulses, is to answer. And I think I shared this with you guys last time. I'm way better at not answering questions in every area except for NABO. And as soon as a NABO question comes to me, I immediately fall into, let me save you and answer all the questions that you have, and 13 you didn't even know you had. And so I have to remember, wait a minute, these women who are on the board are professional women. They own their own businesses. They can answer. They don't need me to answer those questions for the most part. And I have to remember to send it back. And so I think, Liz, same thing. That you're right. That one's going to be the toughest. And it's going to probably hang out on your trim, transfer, trash list the longest. Because it'll just keep coming until all the people who are on the other end of those questions become confident to make some decisions.
Yeah, I figured that was going to be the problem child. So,
yes, but good job in identifying the other stuff.
Yeah, and I have a feeling more stuff will pop up, but then I'll just deal with it as it does. Sorry, guys, I have to now hook myself up to a power cord. Oh, jeez.
It's just a tech day today.
It really, I had every intention of being on the iPad, and it just wouldn't connect. So.
Yeah, hey, at least we're all here.
Right?
Yes.
All right, who's next on working on accountability?
I'm working on being more realistic in what I put in my schedule. Keeping in mind how much energy I'm going to have with doing certain combinations of things during the day. And then once I decide on it, sticking with it. Or also noticing if I'm just failing at it, that I might need to change direction.
And how's it going?
It's going. It's a learning experience. Like yesterday at about 3:00, I had something on my list that I needed to do, and I just struggled with it for 20 minutes and just couldn't focus. And I finally decided I just need to go do something else. And I don't think I ever would have done that before. I would have just continued to struggle with it and then just felt unaccomplished by 4:30. But now I have to do it today. So.
Well, but what'll be interesting to see is if you do it at a different time of day, if that changes anything.
Yeah, I feel I'm not dreading it like I was yesterday.
Good.
Or if just even just recognizing you just need to walk around 5 minutes or something just to get fresh air, just totally, I find that is very, very helpful. Because I'm finding the same thing. And that's, what tracking my hours is actually showing me too, is that I thought it would. And I think that sometimes it's just, I don't bring my freshest version of myself to some of these things, or I'm not doing them with the right, when I have the right energy level.
Right.
So, and that's hard. It's hard. Things just hit you at certain times and you just got to deal with it. So
my afternoon yesterday, I had a staff meeting and then tried to do some intense, thinking work after the staff meeting, and that just wasn't a good idea. I don't know why I thought that was going to be okay, because it never would be okay.
Yeah. When is your best time for that?
Intense thinking work?
Yeah.
Probably either first thing in the morning or late enough in the day when everyone else has gone home.
Yeah, like the super quiet time.
Yeah.
Like you're not anticipating a disruption or something.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
The best thinking time is in the shower. You kidding me?
That's true too. I have lots of ideas in there.
Well,
The 3-hour shower.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny that you say that because that totally, for me, that's like a really great thinking time. And so I now pick something to think about before I go into the shower. Like I deliberately, like I'll say, okay, today I'm going to think about what do I want to do for my Facebook Live? Or today, because otherwise I find when I'm in the shower, I'm thinking about like, oh, I wish I would have said this, or if they think this, I'll say, like non-productive stuff.
Like the imaginary conversation. Like if I get to talk to that person, this is what I'm going to tell them.
Yes.
Oh God, that's horrible. Yes.
And so now it's like, okay, think about, you know, I like give myself a piece. So then when I start going down that imaginary conversation track, I have something to come back to. Otherwise I do. And I'm like, I wasted the best thinking time for myself on imaginary conversation.
Yeah.
So, food for thought.
That's great. Yeah. Topic of the day for the shower.
Right. For the shower. I do. I know. Like people do that before they meditate or do yoga. And, like I'm not there yet. Like I just have to make sure I'm breathing when I'm still doing yoga. Like because I forget. But you know, so like I'm not to that place, but I am. At least I can turn it in the shower or even when I'm driving.
Yeah, driving's a good one.
Yep. And I'm like, okay, no, give yourself a topic to think about. All right. What else are you finding with your energy? Anything else?
I think I'm like right on the verge of really learning that it's just okay to say no. I'm not there yet, but I'm right on the verge. Because there's so many things right now that I'm like, why am I doing this? I wish I were not, you know, committed to this right now.
Right.
I'm trying to take that pain and make me make better decisions in the future.
And how can you remember that? How can you remember the pain you're in now when the pain is gone?
Ooh.
And that may be too deep of a question to answer in this moment, and that is okay.
Probably using the pause technique. Like tell the person, let me check my commitments and I'll get back to you. Okay. And then think about how miserable I am at this exact moment with all my commitments.
Because like people who have multiple kids, they always say, I remembered how horrible it was giving birth to the first one.
Right. But yet
but then you forget. Because they're so cute, you forget. And then that's how you have 5, you know?
Right.
Right.
You forget, and you're like, oh, they're so cute. Yeah.
Right.
I forgot that you don't sleep for a year.
That's right.
Right. So, Dr. Mott, talk about what are you working on, your accountability stuff?
I think that the hardest thing for me this week, this couple of weeks, was trying to take a step back and do the trim exercise when I'm in the middle of trimming. I don't know if that makes sense. It's like if I did it at the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, it would have been a different diagram. And knowing that the thing I spend the most time on is what I need to spend more time on. So doing the timing helps to see that my time distribution is actually not bad. I do spend a lot of time planning, delegating now that I can delegate. So I do have a good balance. But I'm so in the weeds right now of delegating everything I can, that's taking a lot of my time. So I didn't really, for once, I didn't turn in my homework. That never happens. But I think the thinking part of really sitting down to see what I have to delegate, it's like I skipped a step because I'm delegating everything that I probably need to, once I get her with plenty of work that she's just not sitting there just twiddling the thumbs, then I can probably sit down and see, okay, what am I doing now and what's going to happen to that? Because I don't think I can, like I said, one day to the next, it might be different because I'm in the process of giving her the stuff, but I'm still holding her hand a little bit because she's non-medical. And that's the biggest thing with my assistant that was a sacrifice that I knew I was doing is because I couldn't find a bilingual medical assistant. is I sacrificed the medical part because I said I would just want her to help me in the office, but I didn't realize that there's a lot of office stuff that you have to know a little bit of medical. Like she just, I can see like deer in headlights when I said, you know, hey, go call the gastroenterologist about this referral. And she's just looking at me like, what are you talking about? What is that? What is the gastroenterologist and what's a referral? So going back to step one of like, okay, let's do simple tasks. So it's taking me a lot of time. Kind of the point of this is it's taking me a lot of time to train her, but she catches on quick. She's not afraid to work and jump in, which is awesome. But I don't know that I can right now take a step back for another few weeks and really do the trash trim thing.
Right, and maybe this, it may not be the time yet.
Like yeah, it's not. I mean, it was helpful to do the timesheet, but then I'm like, it's not what I need to be doing right now, because that's not my problem right now. Like figuring out how to give her work that will help me then have more time. Like I said, it was funny the other day, is like she's taking so much stuff that I find myself like, what am I going to be doing? It's like, I'm going to have nothing to do. Awesome. And when you said that's the plan, I'm like, really? Ooh, I like it. I like it. It's finally having the time. I want to do this class and workshop for patients to help them lose weight for all my diabetic patients. And I might have mentioned it before, but I'm reading some books to do that, and I just don't have the time to read. So now the patients are like, when are you going to be ready to do this class? And I'm like, I just don't have the time to read. So maybe now I need to change my focus and say, okay, now that she's taking on all these things, then I can take build this around and create this class, and not so much like go for the next shiny object, which is what happens to me. I think with what I've noticed, my difficulty saying no is usually projects outside, because I get bored.
Right.
If I do the same thing every single day, I get bored. So it's very attractive to me to do this research project that I'm doing with the people in California, but now it's a nightmare. Now it's becoming a hassle because they don't respect my schedule, because I put my foot down this morning and I said, I am done. We were going to put a break on it till you get your people organized, because I'm tired of going back and forth with the schedule. So I did put my foot down this morning, and I'm sorry. I'm just going to cut it off. And when you guys are organized, then we start it again.
Well, that's good, because that's one of the things that we talked about last time was how you were going to manage that piece. So that's awesome that you figured that out. So I have a question for you. When you're talking shiny objects and you're talking not having the time to, or it not being the right time to transfer trash and training her, how do you know you're in a place where you can start to devote some time to this new workshop?
Oh, I don't. I don't, but so like on weekends I read up on it. So it's not something I'm not doing at all. It's just I wish I had more time.
Right. And so I think, and I probably asked the question poorly. So Leslie and Liz, jump in, because I think you probably both know where I'm trying to get to.
They're both nodding, so I think they know.
Like, I'm not getting there easily. Like, so Parkinson's law states that nature abhors a vacuum. And so no matter how much time we have, we will fill it. And so you're in a process right now of pulling time away from you and giving it to your assistant. And you're working on getting her trained and getting things up so that you open up time then for, and I think what I'm asking is, what are you opening up time for? Is it just to fill it with stuff? Is it time for yourself personally? Is it, I don't know. Does that make sense? Leslie and Liz, did you see where I was trying to go?
Yeah, I'm thinking about how I'm doing my schedule now in those blocks. Like, I know I have 8 hours a week to devote to projects, but so I can really visually see I do not have time to do this project for 6 weeks, because that's the next time that block isn't full with something. And until I did that, I don't think I really realized how little or much time I had.
I think I kind of see where it's like, what is, and I agree with you. If I have an extra hour, I'll find something else to do. Or commit to that I don't have time to do. So that's, I wish I had, like you're saying, having a picture to remind me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say yes, like to say, let me look at my schedule to push things back, a little bit and say, okay, let me look at my schedule and see if I can do it. So I can truly look at things and not just say yes out of the excitement of something new. And then remind myself how crazy it gets when I don't have time for anything. Now I don't feel like like the work is invading my personal time. I've been really good at, putting my self limits on that. And sometimes, I put 5 new patients in one day. It's like, duh, I was exhausted at the end of the day, but that's my own mistake. So I just don't know how I'm going to get out of the weeds enough to be able to have enough time to develop that workshop. So to develop it, I'm going to need not just 15-minute blocks in between patients to work on this. It's like my Wednesdays that it's supposed to be my admin day. Well, I managed to fill it up completely, and then I have like no time.
So how much time do you need to dedicate in the course of a week to this workshop? Because this workshop sounds amazing. It sounds like there's
awesome.
a need for it. Yeah, and people are asking for it. So how much time do you need to carve out each week to make this happen by a certain date?
I think probably at least 2 to 3 hours a week to get it running by summer.
Okay.
Because I have to read all the material, all the research, and then I have to like create the materials for the people, in Spanish and in English, and then I have to actually create like the visual aids and things that I would use in the classroom. I mean, the whole development of the thing. I think, at least I would think 2 to 3 hours a week, like crunch time.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 32 to 48 hours.
Okay, is that
if you launch in July, and if my math is right, 4 weeks in a month, 4 months, 2 to 3 hours a week, like you're looking at somewhere between 30 and 32 to 48 hours. It's like, so like when you think of it, I don't know if it helps to think 2 to 3 hours a week or think of it as a 50-hour project, like whichever one works better in your brain. Like maybe the time to launch is September, not July.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking back to what Leslie shared about, she can see, I will be able to start that project in 6 weeks. That's where I have time in my schedule. I mean, right now you're in the middle of delegating to a new person, so that you can open up time to do things like this project. And so I think maybe it's this may be a great time for you to defer making a decision on when to start the project for a month. Like mark the date. April 6th, I'm going to revisit. Do I have the capacity now to start this project?
Okay. Yeah, because I'm still in the weeds right now.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I just can't see past the blizzard. It's just like I just can't see.
No, it's like and I'm sure at one point in time, all of you have done. You're like, wait a minute, now is not the time to make a decision. Like, someone the other day was like, oh my God, I'm going to close my business because XYZ has just happened. I was like, ooh, you've been a business owner for 20 some years. You're running a multi-million-dollar business. A person had a cranky experience. Now is not the time to make life-altering decisions. Like this is not the moment. And I think right now, Dr. Amat, you're in it so tight. Now is not the time to make big picture time investment decisions.
Okay. It would be nice to have those like little bits of Wednesdays to not do anything too. Because I'm tired.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
It's exhausting.
And when you feel better, you work easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so if you can get to a place where you're not exhausted, then when you do start to invest the time on creating this workshop, it's going to go quicker and easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if it was the timing. I don't know why the floodgates opened. I had planned, okay, I'll get this assistant. It was slower, so I was very happy. Okay, timing is perfect to get this assistant going. And it was like karma of getting the assistant, and like the next week, all of a sudden the floodgates opened. I didn't do anything different. Maybe I sent the message to the universe that I'm open for business again.
Ready.
But
you said I'm ready. I've got this assistant. I need to pay for her.
I cannot. Yeah, I cannot find the one thing that changed that made people sign up now. I can't find it. There's like they're coming from everywhere, and I don't know what happened, but the floodgates opened again.
Wow.
Exhausting. I know.
You know, March,
I'm happy.
March is our busiest month year after year after year after year, consistently. There's something about March that everyone wants to come in to talk to somebody.
Wow.
Maybe it's like recovering from Christmas.
Yeah, something.
Changes in insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You want the end of winter,
right?
Maybe at some point. I don't know, but it was like, holy moly.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah,
crazy.
it just sounds.
But
it sounds like
I
you.
agree.
Yeah, like you're in such the thick of things with delegating and just making sure that goes. I think that is, and you even said it. It's like that is really your priority, and sounds like it is. I mean, and I think the light. You can probably. I hope you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I kind of feel like it's there. With everything that you're going to be able to.
It is a faint light.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a long tunnel.
So when you're, I totally, I think that's great advice from Lisa, is just don't even stress yourself out with this right now, because you need to focus all your energy on getting your assistant to be able to take off on her own, which will free up so much energy and time for you.
Yeah. I mean, she's doing awesome, which I'm like so happy. Yeah. And she's even thinking of going and becoming a medical assistant so she can understand more. So I'm like,
wow.
Go, girl.
Yay!
I know.
Awesome. Okay, so let's switch the conversation. Let's do, where do you want support? And let's do a quick synopsis from each of you. And then we'll dig in bigger, because sometimes you all have the same one and just looks different. So it's always good in my brain if I can kind of put where they are. So go ahead, Liz. Where would you notice how I changed the phrasing from last time, Leslie and Dr. Mott? Where would you like support versus where's the struggle?
Right.
How I was phrasing it before. So Liz, where would you like support today?
I think in just, I don't know, the whole this piece right here, this is overwhelming to me.
The questions.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know, like, to me, my brain starts going into, wow, you need to set up all these, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm like, and then I just push it aside.
No, no.
So how do I better deal with this? Like, start getting this off off my plate, so that I'm not.
Good. Okay. Leslie.
I'd be very happy to have that same need for support, because I spend a big chunk of my time just answering people's questions.
Okay. See why we do this on the short version first?
Yeah.
Dr. Mott?
Hey, right now anything is helpful. My assistant actually said the other day, she said, I don't know if how people say don't ask until you figure out the solution, but she said sometimes I don't even know what the question is. So I think I have probably the opposite thing, where I actually want her to know that she can ask me, that it's okay. And I did tell her, I said, you need to ask if you don't know something. Now, if you ask me the same thing 5 times, then something's wrong. Then you're not understanding what we need to do. But I think I have the opposite, because it's just one person, obviously, that she doesn't know what to ask.
Right, because.
So I think I'm not communicating some of the stuff probably the right way. And then she obviously is like, she just does what I say, but sometimes just repeats what I say instead of going the next step and saying, oh, could this be better? Not in everything. In a lot of stuff, she's going a step further and saying, why are we doing this way? And she changes it. And they're like, go ahead. One less thing I have to worry about. But I think anything you guys are doing is helpful to me to see ahead of the storms to come.
Right. Okay, so let's talk questions. So you are all doing things that are working. So let's identify those. and then see what gaps need to be filled in. Because sometimes, I will speak for myself, I think I don't know until someone makes me verbalize, and then I'm like, oh, I totally am doing that. Like, I do know. So what are some of the things that you're doing right now that are working?
In terms of dealing with
Sorry, in terms of dealing with people asking questions. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things for me is the visual thing. Having the post-it with the no, having, when I explained to her how to answer the phone and I explained it and she totally did not get it. And I did a diagram, like a flow chart for it, even if it was in a piece of paper that then she put in the computer and made it all pretty, doesn't matter. But having it visualized, and I think I need to do more of that, of giving her and say, okay, if it's a referral, this is step 1, 2, and 3. If it's a CAT scan order, this is what I need to do. If this is, I just got an aha moment. If this is what I need to do with her. If I need to write it down. I don't think she has that ability, which is fine. Once I give her the actual diagram, then she can take it to steps first, further steps. And then she figures out a way to make it more efficient. But the first part of me drawing it, so maybe because I'm very visual, I can't draw for my life, but I am visual and I always try to make little diagrams when I explain things. So maybe doing some sort of, like, it's not a manual, but
no, like a flow chart. If this, then this. Yeah, a nice flow chart. If this happens, then do this. Okay. So what are some other things that you're doing right now that are working?
Shutting my door, I guess.
Okay. Shutting the door keeps people out from asking questions. Yes.
Along those same
we are
lines.
not judging solutions.
I have a pair of headphones that I wear sometimes that I put do not disturb on the sides.
Right.
And even if I'm not listening to anything, it's just like, oh, it's the do not disturb headphones are on. Okay.
Okay.
But I think
what else is working?
One of the things I definitely want to be better at is, not that it's working, but I can see the power of this, is just asking the question back. What do you need to know to make this decision? That's definitely, I'm going to make a cheat sheet of possible solutions to break this down. And the visual piece of this, I think, is a very good one too. If it's something that needs to be visually communicated, I love that idea as well. Let's see. Well, one time I just simply, I feel bad, but it was when Lou was asking, if I could get a file for him, and I was like, I just ignored him, and then he finally just went into Dropbox and got it. That's not a great solution, but he did it. I said, look at you, you went into Dropbox.
But if we take that bigger picture for a moment, giving wait time before you respond.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we look at that, take it away from the I ignored him. So as I quickly digress and then we'll come back to purpose, that is how my old Quinn, the oldest granddaughter, learned to walk or learned to crawl, because Margaret had the flu and Quinn was crying on the other side of the room and Margaret couldn't get up to get her. And so Quinn finally started to crawl to get to Margaret because she couldn't get to her. And so I said, there's a thing about not being responsive that works.
Right.
That would make a
For
great
all we
blog
know,
post, yeah.
Quinn would still be sitting around, not moving. But not being responsive is definitely not responsive, but not immediately responsive.
Mm-hmm.
What else works?
I'm realizing I need to do something with structuring a time of when people should be asking questions. Because I'm getting a lot of questions that I don't mind the questions. They're great questions, but they don't have to be answered immediately.
So office hours or staff meeting.
Right.
Or do you mean like more of like when the person gets to a certain point, they should be asking a question? Or is it you protecting your time, or is it you kind of thinking that it's not the time to ask that? I don't know if I'm being clear.
I know what you're saying. I think it's more me protecting my time, because one of my roles as the clinical director is everybody's independently licensed. but still ethically we're all supposed to consult with other people when we have difficult cases.
Gotcha.
But none of those are emergencies. You know, we have case consultation twice a month. We'll still come to it and ask questions during it. Don't pop in my office 5 times a day and ask 5 different questions. Because that
Do you
annoys me.
redirect them when they come and ask you those?
I
You say,
don't do
this
as
is a
good of a job.
great question for the,
Right.
yeah,
For the
'cause
case
that's why they keep doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you still answer the question, which sometimes is easier because you're right there, so you just
Right.
answer the question. Versus
Right.
saying, that's a great question for our case management meeting next
Right.
week, right?
Yep.
I mean, maybe some people, maybe at the meeting, you tell people, you know, if it's not urgent, let's all bring the questions here and not during the week or something. Like maybe reminding them
Right.
and maybe reminding yourself to not answer. And
Do you
that's the
feel-
hardest because when they're there, it's just like so hard, so
Yeah.
easy to just answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's something, I mean, did you say you have a case meeting once a month?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Do you feel like that's enough? Or that offers enough time for people, or?
So we used to have it once a week, and it was
Mhm.
poorly attended once a week.
Oh.
It's better attended when it's less often.
Right. And I think, and I don't know if you were going this place, Liz, or not, but that idea of when they come in and you ask them, is this something that can wait for the case meeting? And knowing that if they're going to see this person between now and that meeting, then no, it can't wait.
Right.
But it probably can,
Right.
as long as they're
Maybe
not.
that's the question to ask. Are you going to see them before the next meeting, or can it wait till then?
Yeah.
Right.
Because then you're being responsive to their needs.
Right.
And moving them to the appropriate time if applicable.
Right.
What else
Could
is
there
working?
be a place where they can write the question? Like if you have some sort of forum, I don't know, like almost like a Facebook group
Right.
where people could pop the questions there and you answer them when you have time.
Right.
And that way it covers of course, as long as you're able to not answer like all the time. But is there maybe some sort of email board somewhere where people could just post the question before the meeting?
Yeah, they
Or
could.
is there something like that where they have access to other people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have access to everybody here, and that's a good question. I don't know why we never use that option.
Okay, so now that we have a couple ideas, I want to circle back around to what do you need to feel complete or able to move forward or confident now on reducing the questions? Because we have some strategies that could potentially work, but I know there's more to this question. What more is there?
I feel like there needs to be a conversation with everybody, basically, you know, getting them all on board with what I'm trying to do here, just so they understand. And then, you know, around the biggest questions, I would say, just open the floor to, you know, hey, these are some of the questions I feel like I'm fielding a lot. How can we better manage the answers, or how can we better get you to be autonomous in finding the answer? I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I don't want to wait for the question again. I want to hear what their challenge is in finding it. Like, what's the roadblock? Like, why do you keep asking me?
Right. Like, what's the stopping point here?
Yeah.
What's happening that you need to reach out for help? And I think I heard you say this, or maybe my brain interpreted this, like the opportunity to brainstorm as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here are places, where here are things we typically need help on or get stuck on, and you could always Zoom Jen in, right?
No, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you could have the three of you and Jen.
Yep. Yeah.
I think
It might.
Go ahead.
No, it might be worth it to actually have just a team meeting like that, and just around that topic of how do we better reduce the wait time and the questions and things like that, and just kind of leave it as a very open type of conversation, and just hear what everybody's frustrations are with, like Lisa mentioned, what the stopping point is, what's the piece of knowledge you're missing, or what's the item you're missing.
And then who, out of the four of you, who would be the best person to keep track of what's being said?
Zoom. Yeah, probably. No, it might be Eric.
You know, because what's going to happen is you're going to end up with an issues list, and you're going to end up with some solutions, and some of them solutions are going to roll into to-dos.
Yeah. Okay.
Or like, that's how I'm seeing it flow in my head. There's going to be issues, some solutions are going to come flying around, and then those solutions, someone will have responsibility for those. And so if you can start to think through, okay, who's my scribe?
Yeah.
Because otherwise the next time you have the meeting, it'll be a rehash of the meeting you had before, because only about 20% of those to-dos will have been done, because people will go back into their day-to-day and forget that they're there. So if Eric's, and he can even keep track on, you know, a whiteboard, you know, big paper, to where everyone, you know, in the site of Jen, so where everyone can see it.
Okay.
And work that way.
Okay. Maybe use the white. Okay. Yeah.
You know,
yeah, but he's
well, and he's way techie, right?
He's a he's the fastest typer I have ever seen. But yeah, he's totally tech. So it would all be about, you know, typing, transcribing the conversation. That's how he would do it. So.
Yeah, and you know, the other piece too is you can bring him in beforehand. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm seeing. How, you know, be ready, because this is you. Like, we're going to get together as a group, and this is going to be your responsibility. Think through how you want to make it work.
Okay. Yeah. And I can even picture this working where Lou might be at the whiteboard, because he loves thinking through things like that way, putting everything up on a board. So that actually might be a very good idea. Have Eric type, because that'll get him, keep him engaged, and then Lou at the whiteboard, and we can just start kind of tackling stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think there's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know what kind of questions they come up with, but have you thought about having like a, you know, those, what are they called? Huddle boards? You know, like you do huddles in the morning. We used to do that in the hospital, which is pretty like crappily run. But I think if it's a tool that's used well, I think it can work, because you have a big board where you have certain areas that, you know, it would be like, hey, we're out of this vaccine. So then you don't have to tell 20 people that come to get the vaccine that say, oh, there's no vaccine. And then they go to the manager, there's no vaccine. So in the morning, it would be like on the board. And then the problem was people didn't go to the huddle because they made it at patient time. So like, I'm sorry, I have to go see patients. I can't stand here. Talk about, you know, there's no toilet in the paper, there's no paper towels, or there's no, you know, stuff like that. But the fact that it was in the board, and you could just go afterwards and read the board if you weren't able to make the huddle. And then every day there'd be something, and there'd be like celebrations, and there'd be like, whose birthday is it? And then a win, and then what are we working on? So kind of thing. But it was like a daily, it would be updated daily.
And a really good place to see one of these, or another version of this, where you saw the trim transfer video, in there on the resources on the left, there is a Profit First, I don't remember what it's called, Profit First Team Huddle, Profit First Team
I think he does them. I think he talks about them on the, he talks about them on the podcast.
Yeah, and he shows their meeting. Like, they videotaped one of their team meetings.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And it's like,
and
anyway,
he does that daily? He does that daily as well?
I got the impression he did that daily. Again, I don't know. And he has a lot of people with their hands in a lot of plate, you know what I mean? Like that may not be relevant daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I got the impression, and you guys, when you watch the video, let me know if you got the same thing. I got the impression it was daily.
Yeah, it might be worth it to incorporate that on like a Thursday, because every Tuesday we have a group meeting, and we go through every single job and any questions that come up and things like that about billing or anything like that comes up. But there's the little, and then maybe that, oh, okay, great food for thought. I'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, that might actually be a good thing to add in later in the week. So maybe it's two meetings a week or something, you know.
And it, like, his was quick.
Yeah.
And really, like, I felt watching it like really impactful. Like, holy cow! Like, this stuff is
like very efficient. Yeah, like super efficient, probably. Yeah.
So efficient. Like, whoever was the person who was running it was like, okay, stay on track. No, don't go there. And I was like, woo! It was. So Leslie. Sorry, back up. So Liz, do you feel like you have a good starting place?
Yeah, I think I do. I think this is the best place to start is to just get everybody on board with where I'm trying to go, because it's going to benefit everybody anyway. So,
okay.
So I think that is, and then even share the QBR with and I already shared it with Lou, and he totally agrees with it. So that's good. And then just share that and just say, this is we need to protect this. This is Lou and I's main mission. So help us move this stuff off.
Good. All right, Leslie.
Yeah.
What do you need to?
Well, what Liz just said really impacted me, because I had this realization that I'm trying to make all these changes in myself by working with you, Lisa, but I have almost 30 employees who have no idea what I'm doing and why I'm doing things differently. And I need to share that with them. But I know what's holding me back is I feel like it isn't selfish what I'm doing, but I don't want them to perceive it as selfish.
Right. Well, and your situation is different than Liz's, where you don't have a lot of staff meetings.
Right.
Or not a lot, like, not to qualify it, but like that's not a piece of your culture, right, based on the way their compensation structure is set.
Right.
And so how would you want to, like, the first question would be, what would you want to communicate? But we're going to ignore that for a second. How would you want to communicate?
Well, I think at your suggestion, actually start offering every 8 weeks we have a staff meeting, and it's voluntary. But we've had 3 or 4 now, and at least half of the people are showing up and say it's useful, and they don't seem resentful. So that's good.
Well, and so maybe part of that was a story you were telling yourself.
Yeah, it was. So the people that are showing up, I mean, I could initially share what I want to say there, and then I do provide the minutes from that meeting to everybody that didn't come, so I can share it that way. I just have to think about what it is exactly I want to share.
Yeah, like that. I mean, obviously that's the starting point.
Yeah.
Which is way too deep for the conversation we're having right now. But if we think about how to communicate, then, and when's your next staff meeting?
We had one yesterday, so I have 8 weeks to prepare.
Right?
Yay.
All right.
Because I don't want it to come across as I'm trying to do less work, so I'm going to push all the work down the hill.
Right. Well, and I think, and we can work through this, you and I can work through this in one of those other times that we talk.
Right.
I think it ties back to your QBR.
Right.
And do you guys know Leslie's QBR?
No,
I had that conversation.
I don't think
so.
My QBR, I like it. It's called Keeper of the Culture. So I'm trying to keep the culture not just for our patients, but also for our employees, because we're known as a great place to work, which is resting all on my shoulders.
Wow. Oh, I like
But
that.
what it means is what things are coming off your plate.
Right.
No, go ahead and share.
A lot. I'm not involved in the hiring process as much as I was. I'm just doing the final decisions. I'm not involved in the day-to-day management of the administrative staff as much. And I'm trying to do less clinical work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which are 3 huge buckets for taking up pieces of her day.
Right.
And so now by recognizing that when she is the keeper of the culture, that impacts the staff impacts the patients.
Right.
So she can do that in a much bigger way than managing her admin staff.
Right.
I think that's great. I mean, can you communicate that as the reason behind all of your?
I think I can. I made a little foray into that a couple group meetings ago when I said that what I really wanted for 2019 was to stability in the practice. And we had a lot of growth. I wanted stability. And my most important thing was keeping our positive culture despite our growth. And I got lots of positive feedback about that afterwards. So I think maybe people kind of already do see me in that role and I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So sorry, as we went down this very far path for you, Leslie, let me come back to what you originally said.
Right.
But thank you for sharing as I put you on the spot to share that. And just as a, using Leslie as an example for a moment, what was interesting when Leslie and I worked through her QBR was that it is very different from many QBRs that you see, because most of them are like a very defined task. Whereas Leslie had all these tasks and realized that hers was actually a bigger umbrella that would, so it was really, I don't want, not weird, but different than
It's
typically work through the exercise.
Yeah.
But it made sense for me because if I think about why did I want to own my own business, the reason was to provide a positive work environment for people that I didn't get to have early in my career.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. Yeah.
So 8 weeks from now, you're going to communicate your vision.
right.
However, that whatever it is, 8 weeks from now.
Right.
7 weeks and 6 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else, if anything, do you feel you need to be able to move on this reducing questions piece?
Well, I just need to communicate the whole when people can ask me questions. So it's not always feeling like not now. I don't want to be pushing people away. I want to let them know when they can come to me.
Okay. And so how do you want to do that?
I could email them that I realize I've been less available, but these are the times that I am available. And if there's something really pressing and that time doesn't work, you can always email me and ask for another time.
And do you feel you have to qualify it by saying I've been less available?
Yeah, I must feel that.
Wrong question to ask. Let me rephrase the question. What do you potentially gain by saying I have been less available at the beginning of that email?
Oh, I don't know. I think I just feel guilty that I want to always be available to everybody all the time.
Which is unrealistic and probably is not expected.
Right, true.
So potentially rephrasing that in a way of,
right,
in an effort to improve communication or something, like if you feel you have to qualify it,
right,
qualify it that way,
right.
Or bring it back, roll it back to, culture stability while keeping the good culture, tie it back there.
Right, that makes sense.
Please don't tie it to, I know I'm not around and I keep my door closed because I don't want anyone to come see me because I'm working with this woman who tells me to get my shit done. Like, please don't do that.
And then give them your name.
Openly, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's, the thing, your QBR, Leslie, is it's so strategic. And I think that people don't understand the amount of work and effort it takes to keep a culture the way it is. And to recognize when something's going down the wrong path, and things like that. So it's in that sense, it might be kind of hard to communicate that, because well, what are you doing, and it's like.
Well, yeah, that's what I want to avoid. I don't want people to think I'm twiddling my thumbs or reading like philosophy in my office or something.
Yeah, and I don't know how to.
Could you, maybe if you had so instead of saying, let me know when you have a question and see when I have time, could you have set times and people could just, book something online? Could you have one of those apps that if someone has how you could have like office hours back in the day before computers, that you would have a thing outside your office.
Right.
With little slots and then people would just write their name I mean, when you were in school, right? You want to talk to the professor.
Right.
These are the times that there's office hours. And then you come at this hour, you already put your name there. So you come back.
I do have a sign outside my door that says when I call them my free time hours. Maybe I should call them something different. And everyone has access to my schedule, actually. They can't put stuff in it, but they can see my schedule. And I think it is just my own fault of not keeping that boundary, because people will stop by anytime my door is open and say, "Are you busy now?" And I just always say no.
So maybe that's
and you know what? It's none of their business if you're busy, honestly.
Right.
Right? So
Thank
I don't
you,
know.
Dr. Amat.
I had, like, with this research thing, they're like, well, I see some gaps in your schedule. It's none of your business what I'm doing on those gaps.
Right.
Right? Not everything that I do has to be on the schedule, and it's none of your business. I'm giving you this block, and this is what you can work with. And the rest of the schedule is none of your business. So I think the fact that everybody can look at your schedule and maybe question, well, you have all these gaps, why can't I just come and ask you a question? Well, I might be doing something that is not written on the schedule.
Right.
Oh, I
That
filled in
doesn't
all
have-
the gaps. I don't want people to come. I put the word project, and people don't ask me what that means. They just assume I'm
Oh,
doing.
good. But projects everywhere, right?
Yeah, there's lots of projects on there.
Yeah.
Lots of
But
projects.
maybe rephrasing from free time to office hours or consultation time or
That makes sense.
Yeah, something like
like
that. Case
some-
consultation or something like that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good point. I like that.
and then it comes back to training yourself, just like we were talking about with Liz earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is, she came to me with a question, I need to send it back. They
Right.
come to you with a question, your first impulse is, can it wait until, what's my next, I did this the other day. I was like, someone called and wanted something. I was like, can you grab my schedule for me and tell me what my next available open slot is?
Uh-huh.
I wasn't at my desk, and I was like, oh man, I could, I'm now training them to look at my next available open schedule. You know what I mean? And so you could just say, can you look outside? When's my next free hour? Can it wait until then?
Right.
And that's your default. We were talking before about the pause.
Right.
That's your pause. Can you check for me what's the next available time I have? Can it wait until then?
Right.
Are you feeling?
No, the good news is I'm seeing this is, if it's totally my fault, the way it's happening, then it's totally within my control to fix it. So that's good.
So are you
That's
feeling
what I-
complete? Oh, sorry. Are you feeling complete on this now? You have a
I am,
good
yes.
place? Good.
Yeah.
Dr. Mott, anything you wanted to add for yourself that you wanted us to talk through?
No, I think it's helpful. I mean, sometimes I need to train patients too, of, because it's wait until I'm going to see you next week. So I do sometimes, I don't do so well of that because I'm like, if the question is right there, I just answer it, versus saying, I'm going to see you on Thursday. We'll talk about it at your appointment. But it's hard. It's hard to do that. I have a hard time too. I do time it a little more because I can see when the text comes through and I can put my phone down and say, I'll come back to it when I'm done. So let's say I'm in the middle of the call right now, and somebody texts, I don't look at my phone. It's like trying to put myself and say, okay, stop, being so available. And putting my phone on silent at night has been the best thing ever.
Oh,
ever.
good.
With all these snow days and getting calls at 4 a.m. that there's no school and not knowing until I wake up is awesome. But also some patient questions that are not urgent. Hey, I need a refill of whatever. Well, why are you sending me a message at 2 a.m? The question is, what are you doing at 2 a.m?
They're getting it off
that
their
you're
to-do
sending me a
list.
text?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. You're going through your to-do list at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
But it's been helpful because it doesn't seem like I'm not answering. It's just it's 2 a.m. In the past, I would have answered right there,
Mhm.
and right now it just seems like, well, I'll answer in the morning. And I answer, sure, I'll get your refill done or whatever. But I don't know that I am not struggling with that as much right now.
Good.
I think my struggle is right now pushing new patients a little bit out Because everybody's like, I need to see you like this week. I'm like, well, let's be realistic. If you call any office right now, it's 3 months to see a primary care doc.
Mhm.
So the fact that I'm giving you an appointment in 2 weeks, I think it's pretty amazing. So trying to push that back a little bit. I do get people that are like, but I have this issue right now. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're sick, just go to urgent care. If you need a primary care doc, then, you come back in 2 weeks. And most people do. Most people understand. And I think it's because if I let them do and just come in whenever, I think that then they know that they can just do whatever.
Right.
So kind of the same idea, right?
Well,
but then I'm afraid to put the foot down, right?
Yeah, we train people we train people how to treat us.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys, Leslie and Liz, you guys are finding it right now with your staff. Dr. Mott, you're finding it with your patients, but it's still the same concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Setting the boundary. Yeah. And it's easy to say set the boundary and keep it. It's tougher to decide what the boundary is. Communicate that out to make sure it's the realistic boundary for the environment, and then figure out how to keep it. And that's where you guys are right now. You're in the middle of that place. Because you went from, I will be the giver of all knowledge. I am the holder of every answer to any question for anything, to, oh, guess what? You guys are humans and you all have brains and you can think for yourselves. I'm going to let you. But you haven't done it in a while, so you're a little rusty. So we're going to figure out how to bridge that gap. You know what I mean? You're all in that place right now, and you're working there. Okay, so here's what I want to know about for our next one in 2 weeks. I'm feeling like probably it's not a good idea to throw anything new out. Like we still have room in the trim, transfer, trash arena. We still have room in the how to answer questions arena, like not put out anything new. Are you feeling the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Just cross that baby out. Next one is Friday. I just had a full day thing move on Friday to another day, which means my entire Friday is open. And so I want to offer to you, if it is helpful, that we can pop open Zoom on Friday at a particular time that we decide if anyone wants it, and I can act as your body double, which means, for those of you who are not familiar with that term, sometimes you need a person in the room to work on something that you've been putting off, and they really don't have to do anything other than be there. So I have that Friday open. So for example, I'm going to use it to work on, I just finished traction. And so in there, they talk about your process, like the impactive way. What is that? I'm going to work on that on Friday. So I will be in my office for a good chunk of the time. So if anyone does anyone need that accountability or that body double piece where we just opened Zoom and it's like we're sitting in the same coffee shop together, working together, not necessarily interacting. Does anyone need that?
I don't.
Not necessarily interact.
You can if you need to, but no. Like some people, it's just helpful to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to meet with Lisa from 10 to 11:30. We're not going to say anything, but I'm going to work on X, Y, Z and not allow myself to get distracted.
Oh.
Like that's maybe a better way of phrasing it.
Make sure we do what we say we're going to do.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll just minimize to the top. And that way, if you do need to say something, like I'll minimize and we'll both mute on our ends. Mm-hmm. And then if you need me, you just unmute and say you need something. Or if you're working on something and you're like, oh, so this just happened. I said I was going to work uninterrupted for an hour and Eric just came in and I went down this path. And then we trouble. However, it's there if you need it. If you don't need it, it's okay.
It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. So let's do this. If you need it, post it in the Facebook page and we'll find the time.
Okay. Yeah, I have to check my schedule because I'm pretty sure I have a few things on the plate that day.
And I realize, I get that this is last minute. If you find that this is going to be something that would be useful in the future, pop it in the Facebook group and we'll find a time where the times connect, because it also keeps me in my office working on stuff that I would, flit around and let slide to the next Friday. Mm-hmm. The other thing I want to know is, I can bring in, because I have magical powers, special guests. Like, is there a topic or concept that you would like someone to come talk about for a half hour? That is, of course, somewhat related to the work that we're doing together, like, but peripherally related.
Give us some ideas, like who
Yeah.
I know.
like what.
So here's one. Jen Corso had said to me, and Dr. Mott, Jen Corso is an HR attorney from the employer. And so she had said once, you know, I'm happy to talk to your group about when they're hiring, the process of hiring temps first, as they figure out what they're defining, what the role entails, before they actually go out and hire a person or something like that. It made sense when she said it. That might not exactly be what she said. However, so like something from the HR perspective to come in and just talk a half hour about something that is, you know, relevant to making things easier, or finding someone from, I have a source with healthy eating stuff about how to fit that into a busy schedule, or how to do more movement when you're in a sedentary thing. Like, it would just be an extra bonus, whatever. She'd pop in a half hour. If you couldn't make it, you'd have the recording. Like, are there any of those types of people that you want info from? Because I can bring them in outside of the time that we typically meet, and the time that I'm on
There
vacation.
probably are, but I need to think about it for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, then that's fine. Like, it doesn't have to happen today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, same here.
Cool idea.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. Just,
You know, like now, like this isn't the right group, but another example would have been like having Laura LaCursey, who runs a virtual assistant company, who has 50 some VAs in her Rolodex, talk about what are some of the different things that you can have taken care of virtually as an additional resource. So like those types of things.
That might be cool.
Like, I just spoke with a lady yesterday who they do a presentation, and they see how easy it is to fish your network. What is that? PHISA. Yeah. So they send emails to companies to see who clicks, which is cool. And again, not necessarily relevant, but like those types of, totally not necessarily relevant. But I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so my company at the moment would be me. I don't want to know if I would click. Now I'm embarrassed. Like, I can't blame someone else.
The company my husband works for, they had somebody do that, and it was, the click-through rate was huge. It was amazing. And they were really scary emails. I do not know why people clicked on them. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or if something was set to where it automatically, like if it shows, you know how sometimes if it shows in your Outlook, like, you know, whatever. Anyway, so just think through what are some potential people that you might want, you know, to see. The other thing that I'm thinking of, and we're not there yet, but I'm thinking maybe next month or towards the end of next month, I'll do a bonus session and we'll get feedback, make sure it's something that you guys will find valuable, on 168. How you want to plan out your 168 hours in the week from an ideal perspective. Because right now we've got all this stuff and we're trying to trim it down. And it would be nice to be able to get to that place of, oh, wait a minute, here's my ideal. This is what I want it to be. And we're not there. We're not to a place yet where that is 100% relevant. Yeah, like we're just not there. It's like, you know, Dr. Mott going, I can't trash, trim, and transfer now. I'm just trying to delegate.
Yeah.
You know, we're not there, but I want to throw a bonus session in maybe end of next month, maybe the next. So,
I like that. Yeah.
Okay. So just know that those things are coming, but I need your feedback on what would be valuable to bring in. And again, it may be too soon to bring anything in. But give me some ideas so I can start lining some people up.
I think right off the bat, I think, you know, just having somebody like Laura LaCursey, just presenting some ways to, you know, just opening, because I know she's spoken before at NAWBO meetings, but I was never able to make them. But I mean, just being able to understand other avenues of moving work off your plate. I've never worked with a virtual assistant before, so I would be interested in that personally.
Yeah, I would be too. I've talked with her individually, but it's a hard concept for me to wrap my head around. So
Right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm starting a thread. I'm calling it very fancy, guest speakers post below. Yes, it is fancy and crazy. And then we're making it purple because that was a cool color today. And I'm posting it. So then Liz, drop your Laura Kersey thing in there. And then as we just keep, as ideas come up, just keep popping them in, and then I'll start sourcing some stuff along the way. Okay.
Lisa, do you know when the retreat is going to be?
That was the other thing that I need to pull together. So let's next let me look at some stuff and start popping out some dates. So what would be helpful for me to know is weekday or weekend.
Okay.
So let's start that thread, and then I'll start pulling some dates together because that was also on my list. Thank you for asking.
Okay.
I'm going to put it here.
What month is it in? I don't even remember.
I know. Treat. Hang on, wait a minute. Weekday, weekend, etc. So it is June. I think we're going to shoot for June.
I thought it was in the summer.
July, like somewhere there. Summer. Yes, summer.
Okay. And
but now that we're in March, we're getting closer to that.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Yeah.
So we do need to start to narrow that down.
Okay. And when do we officially end? Because I didn't even officially mark on my calendar when we began this process.
Right. So we started.
End?
Right. We started in January. Oh my God. No, we did our first official session beginning of February. So it's all of February, March, April, May, June, July.
Okay.
So it'll end the third week of July.
And are you envisioning the retreat as being something that is going to be more valuable before we end the six
It's going to be in June or July. So part of the retreat idea is to practice some self-care that we don't do left to our own devices. But also some planning, like what happens next, what have we accomplished, but then also some pieces. And so even if it happens and we're not at the very end, we're still 5 months in, and we've got a good feel for what that is and where we're going next.
Okay.
So kind of think of it a little bit as a like a quarterly retreat for your business as well as a retreat for your mind. Like it'll be a good time to start to lay out, do I need additional employees? If so, what would they look like? Like those types of looking forward.
Okay. And then was it a whole day or was it
So it'll be most of a day, night, most of the day.
Ooh, a sleepover. Okay.
Yes, it'll be a sleepover.
And it's at Gervasi, right?
It'll be at Gervasi Vineyards in Canton.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Where is that?
It's in Canton. So from you, it's going to be another hour for however long it took for you to get to Dory Clark. An hour and 20 minutes.
Okay.
More than what it took for you to get to Dory Clark.
More than I did? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's south from where we are.
There?
Dr.
Nice
Mott, where are you in Michigan?
In Grand Rapids.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah.
West Michigan.
Yeah. That's a good haul.
Yeah, it is. It did take a little bit to go see Dory.
See Dory.
But if I take, if it's a weekend, it might be easier to do the driving and
get some ideas.
Driving back.
Yeah, and so we want to thank you because that was on my list, Leslie. That was the last thing on my list.
It could be. I can also, if you show with enough time, I can also block time and say, okay, this day I'm going to be gone, and then I can the day after we come back and things.
Yeah, and I do want to start to get. I do want to start to get. I want to get the date finalized within 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That way we all can plan, and it's right here. And I was like, we should write it down, but it's totally written in like 3 places, so we're going to do that. So what I'll do, once we did get a feel for weekday, weekend, or like hybrid, like Thursday, Friday, or like Friday, Saturday, like whatever. I'll do, and that way we'll start to figure that out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That sounds good.
You guys are so
Sounds
awesome.
good.
Don't forget, I didn't ask today, and you can put them in the Facebook group. Ahas and your to-dos. And don't keep your to-dos in your head. Actually post them in the group. I went looking for them. I was like, oh my gosh, here's our Dr. Domat's. Where are the rest?
Yeah.
Where are all the rest? And you all are busily working. I want to be able to celebrate with you that you've accomplished your to-dos. So, all right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I will see you all in 2 weeks if I don't see you in person before.
Great. Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good
Bye,
week,
guys.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.